This is CNN Breaking News.
We have very disturbing breaking news coming into the Situation Room right now. Government sources here in the United States and in South Korea are now confirming that the U.S. ambassador to South Korea, the United States ambassador to South Korea, there you see a picture, Mark Lippert, has been attacked. The ambassador is injured. He's being treated right now. Let's get some details. Our Pentagon correspondent, Barbara Starr, is standing by. Barbara, I know details are just coming in. The U.S. ambassador to South Korea has been attacked. What do we know?
Wolf, at this hour, the information is sketchy, but what CNN is hearing is that Ambassador Lippert was attacked in South Korea, possibly by more than one person, according to both U.S. and South Korean sources. There are indications, we are told, that the attackers were armed, but it's not clear yet that the ambassador was actually attacked with a gun. All of this still emerging. I will tell you that Ambassador Lippert, Mark Lippert, is someone very well known in Washington national security circles, and especially here at the Pentagon. He served for some time as chief of staff to the former Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel. He served in top positions advising on Asian affairs. This was his specialty in national security. He also previously served at the National Security Council at the White House and served on the Obama-Biden transition team. Mark Lippert is someone that is very well known to President Obama, has been a top aide in all of these positions over the years. He recently left the Pentagon after being confirmed as ambassador to South Korea. And if you followed any of his social media, you saw that he moved around Seoul all the time, often with his basset hound on the street, walking, getting stopped by the people on the street who wanted to say hello to him, wanted to say hello to his dog. Right now, of course, as you say, he is being treated. All indications are,
all right, Barbara, I want to show
he will be okay.
Barbara, I want to show our viewers some video, some pictures just coming in. You can see he has been attacked. We don't necessarily believe attacked with a gun, but attacked with some sort of weapon. He clearly has been injured. There you see him with his hand to his face. We don't know the extent of the injuries. We do know, according to government sources, he is being treated for those injuries right now. We have no idea who attacked him, how many individuals may have attacked him, but maybe Marie Harf, the deputy spokeswoman at the State Department, who's here in the Situation Room, has some additional information. Marie, this is shocking what's going on. What can you share with us?
Well, details are still coming in, obviously, and this has just happened. I've seen the photos that I think you just showed of our ambassador, Mark Lippert, who is, as Barbara said, a longtime Asia policy specialist, one of our top ambassadors that we have, certainly. And from seeing the photos, and I'm not a doctor, but they don't appear life-threatening. Obviously, our team on the ground and our security folks are talking to the South Koreans, will be, and to folks there to really get a sense for what happened here, but a lot of details really unknown at this point.
But under normal circumstances, Marie, when a United States ambassador in Seoul, South Korea, walks around, he's got security guards, right?
I don't know, Wolf. I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, our ambassadors have security around the world. South Korea is a pretty safe place, I think, but I don't know the details here. We'll get more facts and see what exactly transpired. Again, hope that it wasn't too serious. Doesn't appear life-threatening, but don't know all the facts yet.
Yeah, I know you're gonna check with your sources in South Korea. I'm going to get back to you, Marie, so stand by. But Barbara, it dawned on me, as someone who has studied the Korean Peninsula, this comes at a sensitive moment. I have no idea if this was just some random thug on the streets of Seoul, South Korea, if this was some sort of planned political statement or whatever. But U.S.-South Korea military operations, exercises, they're underway right now. North Korea doesn't like those, right?
That's right, Wolf. There's, always some certain level of tension on the peninsula, something that Ambassador Lippert probably knows a great deal about, more than most of us. These exercises underway, the U.S. and South Korea, North Korea making a lot of noise about it in recent days, as they often do. But the U.S. and the South Koreans exercise routinely the military program. So the U.S. shows its support for South Korea and tries to encourage stability on the peninsula. As you look at these pictures, Wolf, again, I'm no doctor and I'm no photo expert. It looks like possibly he was potentially maybe at some sort of event or indoors. He's in his business suit. I have seen pictures of Ambassador Lippert as he walks around Seoul, perhaps more casually dressed with his family, with his dog. So this looks like it was some sort of official appearance or official something official that he was doing in his capacity as ambassador. I think it will indeed raise questions about what his security was. Were they there with him at the time? Ambassadors often sometimes ask their security people to hang back just a little bit, potentially in more safe areas of the world when they're trying to interact with the local population. We just don't have the answers here. It looks like he did sustain an injury to his face because you see him with his hand up there. And I think Marie Harf is exactly right. The facts are just barely emerging right now. Everyone, of course, wishes him the best. He just arrived in South Korea a few short months ago after leaving the Pentagon. And this is a man whose expertise and career really has been devoted to Asia security issues. This was the job he wanted so badly. He would talk about it in the hallways of the Pentagon. He was very much looking forward to becoming ambassador to South Korea and had really wanted to move there and serve U.S. interests there.
Yeah, and he had extensive military service as well, serving in the United States Navy, was an intelligence advisor back in 2007, 2008 to SEAL Team 1. So I just want to report now for our viewers here in the United States and around the world what we know. The United States ambassador to South Korea, Mark Lippert, we have now confirmed through U.S. and South Korean sources, was attacked in Seoul, South Korea. He was injured. We don't know the extent of the injuries, but there you can see him with his hand to his face. We don't know what kind of weapon was used, although there was some weapon that was used. We are told it might not necessarily have been a gun. The ambassador is injured. He is being treated right now. Once again, we don't know the extent of the injuries. Mark Lippert, the United States ambassador to South Korea, highly unusual because the situation in Seoul, South Korea, and South Korea is usually extremely safe for American diplomats. U.S. officials are very popular in South Korea. This is very extraordinary right now, which raises all sorts of questions to those of us who have covered the Korean Peninsula. Marie Harf is still with us, the deputy spokeswoman at the State Department. We have no idea who was responsible. As I said before, it could have been some random thug on the streets of South Korea. Could have been someone trying to make some sort of political statement. What we do know now is that there are U.S. South Korean military exercises, annual exercises going on. The North Koreans have made some tough statements in recent days warning against these exercises. I remember vividly 5 years ago when the U.S. had these exercises with South Korea. The North Koreans actually shot a South Korean ship, killing a lot of South Korean sailors to make a point, to make a statement. Give us a little perspective, Marie, on what's going on in the Korean Peninsula right now.
Well, again, you're right. We don't know what was behind what appears to be an attack on our ambassador in South Korea. But we do regular exercises with the South Korean military. They are not aggressive in nature. They are transparent. We are very open about them and speak publicly about them. And they're not intended to be directed towards any country or threatening. And we repeatedly say that. When the North Koreans make noise publicly and complain about them and take escalatory actions, we say very clearly these are part of our relationship with the South Koreans, a long-standing alliance, and they're not designed to be aggressive in any way. But we've seen, unfortunately, Wolf, you know this better than anyone, the North Koreans take increasingly escalatory steps. They've raised tensions by trying to launch missiles, obviously going back to the nuclear tests. But this is a serious problem on the peninsula, and we are very committed to seeing if we can stand by our allies to try to reduce tensions there.
46 South Korean sailors died when that ship was attacked by North Korea, supposedly in disputed waters. But it was a tense moment. Those U.S.-South Korean military exercises were taking place this 5 years ago. Clearly, the North Koreans wanted to make a statement. Paula Hancock is joining us now from Seoul, South Korea. Paula, what's going on? Because it's very disturbing information. The U.S. Ambassador Mark Lippert to South Korea has been attacked.
That's right, Wolf. We have confirmation now from the embassy, an embassy spokesman here in Seoul, saying that they can confirm there was an incident this morning. It's now 8:30 in the morning local time. They said that Ambassador Lippert is currently in hospital, but he is in a stable condition. Now, we know that he was at an event this morning. It was the reconciliation of the two Koreas. So he was at a public event. We don't know exactly how this went, how this was carried out, but it was about 7:42
Paula,
a.m.
hold on 1 second, Paula, because we are now being told he was attacked by a razor blade. Someone took a razor blade and went to his right cheek and slit it. And that's why he's holding his hand there. But go ahead, finish your report.
That's right. This is what we have from the police at the moment, that it was a suspect in his 60s. He used a small razor blade. The ambassador has injuries on his right cheek, also on his hand, which obviously coincides with those pictures that we're seeing. The suspect at this point has been detained. He's under investigation. Police tell us they have no idea of the motive of this attack, but these are the latest details that we have, that it was a small razor blade attack, and it was at a public event this morning, the reconciliation of two Koreas. The ambassador is in hospital and in a stable condition, according to the embassy.
Any indications, Paula, that this could have been politically motivated, that this 60-year-old individual who allegedly took a razor blade and went to the ambassador's right cheek with it? We can see him holding his hand there. Clearly, he's bleeding as he's being rushed to the hospital for treatment. Any indication there was some sort of political motive or what?
Well, police say they don't have a motive at this point, but they're going to be looking at everything. Obviously, this is not just an attack that happened in North Korea. In South Korea, they're going to be looking at possible implications from North Korea. They're going to be looking at all sorts of different possibilities, whether or not there was an attack against the United States, whether or not it was North Korea related. There are a number of different implications with this attack, or whether or not this was just a lone attacker who had problems. It's really too early to tell. Police say they do not know at this point. They're questioning the man. He's under investigation. He has been detained. He's with authorities right now, so they are talking to him right now to try and find out why he did this.
According to South Korea's YTN news channel, Paula, let me just share with our viewers what they're reporting. Ambassador Lippert was about to deliver a speech, as you noted, at a breakfast being held at a hall in Seoul. The witness, one eyewitness, claims to have heard someone yelling something like North Korea and South Korea should be unified. This report from South Korean television says nothing specific about the attack, only that the yelling was heard. Then the bloodied ambassador was rushed to the hospital. The report also says the suspect is identified only by the last name Kim, which obviously is a very common Korean name. He was detained. The report also says Ambassador Lippert was injured around his face as well as on his arms. Paula, Marie Harf, the State Department deputy spokeswoman, is still here. I don't know if you're getting more information that you can share with our viewers, Marie.
Not a lot yet, but Ambassador Lippert is at the hospital being treated. His injuries are not life-threatening, as I think we can see from the photos. There's no known motive yet, but a full investigation will follow. Obviously, you're hearing that from other sources as well. But before jumping to conclusions, I think we just want to get some more facts, talk to someone that has been apprehended. But at this point, no known motive. But we will do a full investigation, work with the South Koreans on that.
I assume, Paula, and you're there in Seoul, South Korea. You've seen the U.S. ambassador in operations. This was an event designed to support North and South Korea, the unification of North and South Korea at some point down the road. I assume at an event like this, the U.S. ambassador to South Korea would have security protection, right?
Well, certainly there would be security around him. I mean, I've seen him travel in the past, and they're obviously very careful about his travel. This is not obviously something that you would expect to happen, especially not in South Korea. Obviously, there are many tensions between the North and the South, but South Korea on the whole is a very safe country. This is not a country where you would expect ambassadors to have extra security, the likes of what you would see in the Middle East, for example. Even though this is a country that is still technically at war, it is a very safe country. He was at a public event. Quite often at these public events, there is not a lot of security to go into the event itself. Certainly there may be, if it was a high-profile guest like an ambassador, there may be a metal detector. But it's not a country where it's regular to have this high level of security going in to hear these kinds of these meetings, these breakfast meetings, these speeches. And so certainly that's something that I think will now be looked at. But of course, yes, the ambassador would have security around him, but not as high a level as he would in a more tense or dangerous country.
And just to reiterate what's going on, Mark Lippert, the United States ambassador to South Korea, was attacked. Someone came up, an individual thought to be around 60 years old, a man shouting about North and South Korea unification with a small razor blade, and slit his right cheek and apparently also parts of his arm. The ambassador has been rushed to a hospital for treatment. This is not life-threatening, fortunately, but clearly something is going on. Kyung La, who has spent a lot of time in South Korea, is joining us on the phone as well. Kyung, you know something about the security environment in South Korea. I think all of us who have been there know it's a pretty safe place.
A very safe place. I just want to reiterate some of the things that Paula was saying, that the security level in South Korea, specifically in Seoul, is quite different than you might see in Washington, D.C. Or anywhere else in a large city in America. And the reason for that is, frankly, it's guns. It's much more difficult to get a gun in South Korea than it is in the United States. So that's the first context we want to put on this. But also as far as access to these ambassadors, when you talk about access, just as a reporter, there is a bit lower security profile. You do have a bit more access. When Christopher Hill was the envoy to North Korea, the U.S. envoy to North Korea, we had much more access to him than you might expect in the United States. So there is a bit more access. At a public speaking event, there would also be more access for the public. And again, that's because of the security profile of the country at large. As Paula was saying, yes, North and South Korea, we hear about that all the time, that this is a country still technically at war, that the war ended in truce, but the level of security in Seoul is certainly much lower. Yeah,
it is a very disturbing development. And of course, we're going to stay on top of this story. The United States ambassador to South Korea has been attacked with a razor blade, a small razor blade. He's now in the hospital getting some treatment. Fortunately, not life-threatening. We don't know what the motive was of this 60-year-old who went after the U.S. ambassador to South Korea at a public event. We're getting more information. Marie Harf is still with us, the deputy spokeswoman at the State Department. You know this ambassador, right?
You've
met him.
Very well.
And by all accounts, a gentleman, a very intelligent guy with a very impressive military background as well.
Absolutely, and he's one of our top Asia policy experts in the U.S. government. Obviously, Ambassador now was Chief of Staff to Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel, who I also used to work for, and also was at the National Security Council working on Asia policy. So a widely regarded expert on these issues, well-liked by people. Don't, again, at this point know what motive was behind this attack, but thankful that the injuries are not life-threatening, that he's being treated, and we will get to the bottom of what happened here and do a full investigation.
Marie Harf, I know we invited you to speak about other information, but thanks very much for joining us. Kyung La, we're going to be checking back with you. Paula Hancock, Barbara Starr as well. There's